Chapter 8. In the 2000 census, the population of Kenwood, Louisiana was 2,205 people, broken down into 805 households and 559 families. We are one of them. You can say what you want about small towns being boring or backward, but there is no place on earth I would rather be than Kenwood. To this day, that town is a heaven, a cradle for our family no matter what has gone on in our sometimes crazy lives. When our days are bleak and dark, we come home to find people who knew us and loved us before our lives got caught up in the twister of fame and reckless tabloids and heartless paparazzi. Here there are no places to nosh on baby lobster tempura, get a hot stone massage, or find the perfect pair of shoes to go with your red carpet dress. The only reddish carpets in town are in the Kenwood Historical Museum, in front of a scale model of the USS Louisiana. Even still, Kenwood beats the pants off of LA. Here I found Miss Nyla's to die for cornbread bread and greens. Uncle James, Big Bear Hug, and the perfect pair of rubber boots from the feed store to wear while working in my garden. Here I can count on the fact that Miss Hazel, my mother's best friend and a fellow war bride from England, will always bake and decorate the perfect birthday cakes for my children on their birthdays, and that she will still charge me $12 per cake, same as always. Here I find warm smiles, friendly handshakes, and the comforting look in people's eyes that says, I've known you since you were an itty bitty girl, and it's always going to be that way. I've lived in small towns and big ones, and I've noticed some things about the difference between the two ways of life. It seems to me that individuality is lost when you are just one of the masses, and worse, spirituality can get lost too. In a small town, people know all your business, as if the whole world doesn't know my business anyway. But then there are always going to be good folks who pray for you by name and who care for you in a personal way. That care was exemplified to me and my family when those 5 doctors left their own practices and raced to the ER that terrible day of Brian's incident. Later, when my sister Sandra was dying, her doctors would come to the house just to see how she was doing. They were never paid one extra dime, but made those house calls out of the goodness of their hearts. In this old-fashioned soil, my mainstay friendship grew. Jill, Margaret, Joy, and Kelly. Even when one of our lives takes an unexpected turn and we are separated by time and geography from one another, my 4 dearest friends and I have never lost the ties that bind us together. I could not have made it through losing my parents and sister, raising my children, bankruptcy, my husband's alcoholism and rehab, our divorce and fallout of my daughters, fame without my dear friends Jill, Margaret, Joy, and Kelly. At times in my family, I could afford groceries, much less counseling, but those women have been my counselors, and I hope I have been theirs. We have been therapists from one another sometimes talking things through hours at a time. Thank goodness we are there for each other, on call, day or night, with a listening ear or some sweet tea and sympathy. Jill Prescott, my friend I've known the longest, has bailed me out on too many occasions to count. When times were hardly financially, Jill would loan me cash. I would insist on writing her a post-dated check as goodwill. We did this for 6 months or more at one point in my life. If you've seen the movie Still Magnolias, you know who I mean when I mention the Osier Bonderuk's character, played by Shirley MacLaine in the film. Margaret is my Osier, with an underable air about her, but a heart of gold. Margaret and I met at the daycare I owned and operated, first when she brought her daughter and later when she worked as my secretary. If Margaret doesn't feel like smiling in a social setting, she just won't smile, even though the rest of us are smiling away just to be polite. There's nothing artificial about Margaret, so she can come across as distant and maybe a touch aloof. But let me tell you, my friend Margaret would move heaven and earth for you. She could never say no to anyone in need. Margaret was offered to shuttle Jamie Lynn to school and ball games when I couldn't. She even dropped things at her own home to come to mine and run it as I would for a while until I am back in town or whatever the need may be. The best thing about Margaret is that she understands that talking about a problem doesn't always solve it. She has created some healthy distractions for me over the years, so I can say, like that epitome of a steel magnolia, Scarlett O'Hara, in times of trouble, I'll just think about it tomorrow. My friends Kelly, Joy, and Margaret at a party to launch Britney's tour. I met Joy 15 years ago when I started teaching. She was teaching right across the hall. We have been through so much together. She is the friend who will take a bad situation and turn it around. I have so many memories of us laughing and crying at the same time. If you met her, you'd pick up on the warm and fuzzy part of her right away. She's very warm and also really funny. We have a we have a knack for getting into funny predica- predicaments together. We refer to ourselves as dumb and dumber, and often stillness prevails when we are together, such as our comfort level in each other's presence. I love Joy because she makes me laugh when I dearly need to do just that. Last but not least, there's Kelly. You would look at her and think she was beautiful and serious, but she, like Margaret, is not what she seems to the casual observer. When you really get to know her, Kelly is young-hearted and fun. We have taken some of the most mundane experiences of our shared motherhood. Our girls, Jamie Lynn and Crystal, are the same age and made them some of our most hilarious memories. Joy, Kelly, and I, the three musketeer moms, cheering Leia, Crystal, and Jamie Lynn at a basketball game. Jamie Lynn and Crystal played ball together. Therefore, Kelly and I had to take our turns to work and concessions to work the concessions stand at the games. We would always try to work our designated duties together. If you ever assembled 100 hot dogs after a game, you know things can get pretty hectic behind that concessions counter. Kelly and I walk Kelly and I would slap those orders together as fast as we could, but keep in mind this was not either of our fortes. Did the guy in the green jacket order a hot dog or a burger? Did that lady say diet or did I imagine it? We often held our breath when the person left, wondering if he would consider it in short order that what he asked for was not at all what he received from the inept concession stand staff. Big crowds and hungry basketball fans made us nervous, and Kelly and I often made a mess filling their orders. The gang, including Dina and Sandy Sims, gathered in Vegas to celebrate the launch of Britney's tour. One time I got impatient with the ketchup bottle as I kept banging on the bottom of it and nothing was coming out. All of a sudden, half of the bottle spilled out on his huge lob, and I looked like a bloody accident victim the rest of the night. This was just one of our many shared ordeals when Kelly would use her dry humor to get us through. To quote the Bible, she said, "It is only for a reason. I hope it's a short one. I hope it is a short one." My watchdogs. Since Britney first became well known, my girlfriends have also become like watchdogs. If a tabloid or entertainment show says something derogatory about me or my family, they become like mama bears. The first one to detect trouble picks up the phone, and soon all four are venting to one another and conspiring about how to help. When something really bad happens to my family or any of our families, one or all of them will quietly file into the home of whoever is going through a hard time. We'll we'll hug and cry together, no words needed. Jill, Margaret, Joy, and Kelly are God's gifts to me. I don't see them every day, and we don't even talk on the phone every day. But whenever we do connect again, somehow we always pick up our friendship right where we left off. Close knit, caring, and essential. Over the years, they have become part of me as much as part of my memories. I have always drawn so much strength from them to deal with my family relationships, particularly when what should have been the closest relationship in my life, my marriage, was falling apart. Sherry. Other close friends have enriched my life over the years. Women who have come into my life through various paths and whose friendship exists in another orbit from the one I share with Jill, Margaret, Joy, and Kelly. Sherry, for example, is my friend who takes such good care of my house for me when I'm gone. She helps me keep the big old place clean and don't know how I would cope without her. Sherry is the kind of person who is wondering in a crisis. She just steps in and rolls up her sleeves and starts helping. Years ago, I felt a candle burning one night, and the living room caught on fire. My dogs barked and barked, waking me even before the smoke alarm, but not before I had inhaled enough smoke to send me to the ER. Jamie Lynne had a friend over for a sleepover, and thank God they woke up in the nick of time. The two girls suffered no smoke inhalation. The next day, Sherry came over and cleaned the house as well as she would have after the firemen had left. A huge job. And when I was unable to cope with after coming home from the hospital, she drew me a bath and insisted I sleep as long as I needed to, while she stayed with the girls until they woke up. Jackie. I met Jackie on the first day on set of the Jamie Lynn's show Soy 101. Paul, her only child, played Jamie Lynn's younger brother. Nickelodeon was filming a Pepperdine University, and we sat outside on the campus grounds watching them the first take of the kids arriving at the fictional school. Jackie and I connected from the beginning, though she was a little shy on our first meetings, hesitating a bit before she spoke. I found that I found that sweet and endearing. Sometimes when people first met me, they are apprehensive, at least those who happen to know I'm Britney's mom, and no doubt they have a bundle of preconceived ideas about who I am. I come across, or should I say, I try to come across as a very self-confident person. But if people spend a little more time with me, they find out I'm quite the contrary. Jackie seemed to grasp very early on that there was a flesh and blood woman behind the mythological monster the tabloids had treated and censored. I could trust this gentle, kind woman. Jackie and her husband owned a boutique at that time called Baby Baby Unique. And as this was during the time Britney was expecting Preston, Jackie helped Britney decorate his nursery. As days on the set got longer and the children stayed busy, Jackie and I became closer and closer. She became my one and only confidant in LA, and we shared everything with each other. I used to tease Jackie and say she was my walking navigation system. I would be lost anywhere in the city, call her, and be on my way in the right direction. I had no idea back on the first day of filming Soy 101 that God would use Jackie in a mighty way in my life. God is very strategic, strategic. Only He knew how much I would need and depend on the strength and companionship of his dear friend years later, when it was time to fight for my older daughter's life and outsmart the foes put in place by Satan himself. Britney and I saying goodbye on her way to Sweden. Britney and I on the top of the world. Laura Lynne, Jessica, Britney, Jamie Lynn, Caitlin, and me on a blissful vacation to the Caribbean. Sandra was back at the condo feeling sick. The trip was Britney's Christmas gift to her. Jamie Lynn and I on vacation in Destin, Florida. Precious moments with my first grandchild, Sean Preston Federline. Preston and his mama at his first birthday party. Protective big brother Brian and Jamie Lynn. My inseparable other half, Sandra, and her daughter, my third daughter, Laura Lynne. Bo is so small he jumps in my purse when he knows I'm leaving.